I'm not sure how many of you know about this, but there's a huge scam going on YouTube right now where people are getting tricked into deleting their own accounts. And they're not like small accounts or anything. I'm talking accounts with millions of subscribers. And it seems like they're targeting the smartest people on the platform. Like if you heard tomorrow Charlie was tricked into deleting his account and showing pictures of his cock on the internet, you'd be like, yep. That sounds about par for the course. That sounds like something Charlie would be tricked into doing. But when you hear Jim Browning was tricked into deleting his channel, you're wondering what the fuck went on? Who could outsmart Jim Browning? For those that don't know, he's an extremely large YouTuber who's famous for taking down scammers and taking down entire scam operations around the world. He's super good with computers. He is literally that cyber boogeyman that your parents were afraid of in the year 2000, where they thought if you opened Microsoft Office and typed :XD, that you all of a sudden your emails were going to be hacked, your credit card information stolen, your bank account drained. He is that guy. He can do like anything with a computer that you could possibly imagine. If you accidentally say hello to Jim wrong on the internet, he's got all your fucking information ready. This guy hacked into the CCTV cameras at a scam headquarters just to gather evidence on them one time to take them down. It's incredible. It's like on Xbox Live when you'd hear some asshole say like, yeah, my dad works for Bungie and we've got all your information now, so get ready to get banned. Except Jim Browning is actually able to do that. He is that. Like, this guy is a real-life L from Death Note. Super smart guy, super great guy, and he recently was the main victim to a YouTube scam that convinced him to delete his own channel. Today he posted a video going through exactly how the scam works. It's a great video. I highly encourage you to check it out. And I want to talk about it just a little bit and give a bit of a summary, as well as a little advice for any YouTubers out there on how to avoid it. He does as well, but there's a couple things that he doesn't touch on that I'd like to. He's also not the only victim of the scam. Another very smart and large YouTuber named the Spiffing Brit was also convinced to delete his YouTube account in what appears to be the exact same scam. And allegedly these aren't the only two, but these are the biggest two that I can find that have confirmed to have fallen for the scam. So how does it work? Jim Browning has it all covered from start to finish. He recorded the entire interaction with the scammer, but I'll just do a little caveman breakdown. Bad man pretend to be Google. They were able to send a real email from a real Google account at google.com. They sent an email saying you have a duplicate AdSense on your YouTube account. As a result, we'll be suspending your channel. If you want to talk about it and try and rectify this, you can join our YouTube support chat. And then there's a link, and the link actually takes you to a real YouTube support chat. So this entire time you see at google.com, and it really is at Google. It is a real YouTube support chat. So there's nothing too suspicious about that, and that is a real error that happens on the platform, I imagine, with duplicate AdSense accounts. So all of those check the boxes of, might be legit. So upon joining the YouTube support, they walk you through how to fix the problem, though there is something Jim Browning points out. When you're in the YouTube support page, there is a discrepancy with the email that you're talking to. It's at creatorpartners.com, which isn't right. That is the wrong email, but by this point you're already convinced that this is really YouTube support. So, as he mentioned, he wasn't paying enough attention to it and didn't think anything of it. And I imagine it's the same for the Spiffing Brit. So after talking with them, they walk you through the steps on how to fix it, which is moving your channel, the one with 3.3 million subscribers in Jim Browning's case, to a blank channel that they have you create, saying, we're going to take this channel and move it here, and this is going to fix the AdSense problem. Well, in doing that, you have to, in the move, delete the original channel. So you end up deleting that channel, and now you're left with just a blank channel. Now, this isn't the goal of the scammer. Once you get to that step, what they want you to do next is fill out a forum, so that way they can access your original account. And this is where Jim Browning's, all of his sirens were going off, and we entered DEFCON alert, where he realized it really was a scam. In that forum, they ask you for some really odd information that no company would ever ask for, which is stuff like your password. So that is the biggest tip. No one and nothing that is official will ever ask for your password to anything. So upon seeing that, he closed the case. He knew it was a scam, but then tried to get more information out of him. The scammer started bragging after he was caught, saying that he's worth $2.5 million off of this scam, and that he has 12 accounts, some with 6 million, some with 3 million. None of that Jim was able to confirm, but it is worth at least mentioning. And then today, the Spiffing Brit posted this picture about how his channel was deleted and he was tricked into deleting it himself by a scam. So you're led to believe that it's this same scam. Now, I don't know how far the Spiffing Brit has gone, if he actually did fill out that form and give away his password, which I would be very surprised if he did. I don't think he did that. I'm sure he noticed it was a scam at that same point, but by then, your goose is already cooked, you've deleted your channel, and now you're left with nothing except at the mercy of YouTube, who does have the capability to reinstate channels. Jim Browning is fully back online, everything's back and running, he's got all his videos back, everything's as it was before this scam even happened. But it is still a huge hassle, especially if they did go through with giving the password, because now the account's compromised, the scammer has it, and they can take whatever revenue the account makes. So that is a big problem. Though Jim said even if he did give the password, he thinks two-factor probably would have protected his account, and I agree, that probably would have stopped it in its tracks. But let's assume the creator doesn't have two-factor on, well, then they'd be fucked right then and there. So that's just a breakdown, very briefly, of how it all played out. It's a lot more intricate than I'm giving it credit for with my explanation. Jim goes into detail and shows just how convincing it is, but that's pretty much how it all went down. So, how can you avoid something like this? Well, the first thing you need to understand is YouTube doesn't communicate. So if you get an email from YouTube saying anything, it's probably just a fucking scam. I've been on this platform for 15 years. Do you know how many emails I've received from YouTube? Almost fucking none. I can count them on one hand, probably. I just don't get YouTube emails for anything, and I imagine that's the case for most people on YouTube. When I get like a copyright claim or anything, I don't get like an email or anything about it. I just see it on my account. You know, I'd never get emails from YouTube. So getting anything from YouTube about like, hey, there's a problem and we want to fix it. Are you fucking serious? YouTube yet never wants to fix anything, let alone reach out to you to try and get it fixed. It just doesn't fucking happen. So that should immediately be the biggest red flag, is getting contact from Google or YouTube. The only time I have contact with YouTube or Google is through my partner manager. Or anyone I know at the company, you know? DMs or emails of people that I personally know at the company, never from YouTube or Google itself. So that just doesn't seem to happen to anyone, and when it does, it's usually shady, like in this case. So that's my biggest piece of advice. And then the other big thing is, don't just trust the domain blindly. As Jim points out towards the end of the video, it seems like anyone can send an email from a real @Google domain without actually being representative of Google. So just because a domain looks legit or even is a legit domain, don't let that just be a pass for everything they say. Don't just write it off because the domain was real. Because, again, in Jim's case, it really was from Google, but it was a scammer that was able to use the Google domain. And it seems like anyone can do that. So that's just the other thing to be aware of. That's really about it. It's a pretty wild scam, and definitely the most intricate that I think I've ever seen on my history on this platform. I've never seen one actually be able to target extremely smart people successfully. Usually you'd see it happen to channels that are like prank channels or something, not actual fucking 500 IQ scam exposers and extremely smart YouTubers that expose exploits in the world like Spiffing Brit. Like, the fact that it got those two means it could get fucking anybody. So, you know, be cautious out there. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Okay. Let's start with the Island Boys. The only thing that I know about the Island Boys outside of course, their chart topper is they used to do cameos for the US military where they try and recruit people. So people would pay them from the US military to like shout them out and try and get kids to join the military. And then there was Sergeant Vasquez, who paid the Island Boys to appeal to his upper management about not kicking him out. So that was pretty cool.
The Island Boys were instantly judged as two talentless bozos who had covered themselves in tattoos.
True.
And as a result, people began to follow them for their stupidity as opposed to their talent.
And I think they're entertaining, and I follow them because they're entertaining. I love to see the stupid shit that they say.
Now, the difference between the Island Boys and someone like 6ix9ine is that, while 6ix9ine also got famous in part by his over-the-top ridiculous appearance, he actually has a decent portfolio of music.
His music usually did really well on the
6ix9ine,
charts.
but only in the beginning. He then becomes well-known, people check out his music, and then
a bit curious, has there been an example of someone who started as like a punching bag and then got famous for it and never fell off? Because think of all of your most popular memes and most popular like lol cows. It only works for like maybe a couple months. It never lasts forever. Oh, actually, that was a really bad baby. Yeah, that started as Dr. Phil, people making fun of her. And she's had an extremely successful career as a result. You're right. Anyone else, though? I don't know why people keep saying Justin Bieber. His career was music. Shitty music, for the most part, sure. But people like the music. Nobody ever liked the Island Boys music. They only ever made fun of them. So that doesn't really count. People that literally only existed to be made fun of and then had a successful career as people to just keep making fun of. That's what the Island Boys were. It's not like they had... Like, a lot of people got their start as a joke, but also contributed something that people might actually like music or whatever. They haven't done that. Joji. What are you talking about? Joji was an extremely popular YouTuber. I think the only actual example is actually going to be Bad Baby.
Think about a hater. A hater is watching you sometimes more than a person that loves you. Yeah, and if they're hating on me, it's just because they really love me. Because I see the haters check up on me more.
Didn't they also like lose their mind here and get upset?
It's people kind of hold against you as a grudge is that
like,
your image is crazy and you're sort of famous, but maybe the music isn't necessarily the reason why you guys are so known.
Right.
One of the Island Boys would go on to state that the other reason they had so many haters was because of jealousy.
Just hating on me or whatever.
That's always the one.
Jealousy, either that because I'm not really doing nothing.
Which is just another.
Everyone always says that. Like when someone's getting a ton of like backlash, the immediate thing they fall back on is jealousy. It reminds me of shit people or parents would tell their kids in middle school if they were just getting bullied. It's like, yeah, they're jealous. I was like, nah, maybe your kid's a loser. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like, it's just, I guess growing up, you just get told if someone's being mean, it's because they're jealous or whatever.
I worked my ass off. It's not even just the Island Boys. It's the fact that we went through so many obstacles, it was just bound to happen.
Now, it'd be a cheap shot to say that there was no hard work. I'm sure the Island Boys had to have put
no, there. You can say that with confidence.
That mega viral video.
There was no hard work.
In the singing.
And this is one of the
in the singing.
Only ones that are talented in the singing.
And this is one of the strangest parts about.
Is that what he said? In the singing? Oh, in the scene. Oh, in the scene. Okay. Now, have they... I guess I'll look it up real quick. Do they actually make music? Because, again, all I know them for now is they just do recruitment for the U.S. Army through Cameo. Island Boys get booed on stage. That sounds about right.
So basically, when I was locked up, I was probably one of the only people in the dorm that knew how to rap, that knew how to freestyle, but didn't care. I think me as a rapper, my music is underestimated though. Yeah, for sure.
What music? Do you make music?
Rap, whatever.
Going back to the Impulsive podcast, the Island Boys seemed pretty proud that they had paved their own path after Mike would ask them about which rappers they had been inspired
So
by.
Another thing though, and it didn't help. They were also harbinging or giving. What the fuck was the charge? They had a murderer stay with them, right? A guy had just killed someone, and the Island Boys said, yeah, you can just stay here for a while to lay low. What was the charge? Was it aiding and abetting? So it's not just that they're unlikable, which they are, and untalented, which they are. It's that they also make the dumbest fucking decisions of all time. He killed a child? Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember the story, but yeah, apparently an 8-year-old girl was the victim. It was a drive-by shooting.
Is that why you guys have such a unique sound?
Yeah. We don't listen to
That's
rap
so
songs.
nice to call it a unique
I
sound.
used to listen.
I agree with you guys to an extent of not like being swayed.
Dude,
by,
they're just
by
fucking with
other
them.
people,
Yeah.
But also at the same
I
time, like
can tell.
the current winners in the culture act as like guardrails and guidelines for what you do with your craft.
Mike is 100% correct here.
I think if God forbid it doesn't go in your guys' direction, for real, I think you guys take all of your jewelry assets and invest it in something. So you guys will never ever.
Oh yeah, have you heard of
After storming
NFTs?
out of the, their emotional response to what George had to say is also a pretty good indication that the Island Boys are probably pretty unwise and insecure when it comes to their financial situation.
So what are they doing on TikTok now? I haven't checked in a long time, actually. Let's see. They're the Island Boys on... No, they're not. What are they? They're Kodiak something, actually. Oh, Fly Soldier. Oh, boy. Their views are not doing well. Oh, boy. Alright, what's this one? This is... Y'all got room for one more.
Y'all got room for one more. Well, to become an Island Boy, you gotta be special. You gotta have talent. You also have to look a certain way. You gotta be cleaned up at all times. And then you also have to, entertain us. Because the Island Boys, me and him, like to be entertained by people. And so, you gotta really have the
What is that, like a court jester
you gotta
then?
have the drip, criteria. And criteria...
I can't believe they're not doing well. That sounds fucking amazing. Oh my god, they did recruit a third Island Boy. Yeah, it looks like they recruited a third Island Boy. Welcome to the family, man. Yeah, they're struggling, though. Sonny is not wrong. They're not breaking 100K on all their videos anymore.
Be sustained, or if that could be translated into a successful career long term.
Before going on to...
Again, people keep saying music artists they don't like. People unironically listen to someone like Lil Pump. No one unironically listens to the Island Boys. That's the difference. Lil Pump was a joke. People made fun of him, but then he kept making music that some people liked. Now, do I agree with them? No, I think they are objectively wrong with their opinion. If you like Little Pump, you just know that you are wrong. And you make me sick. But people do like it. Nobody listens to the Island Boys. That's the difference. They don't even make music, from what it seems like. It seems like they just sit in a jacuzzi and ask people to join the Island Boys.
Possible. I doubt he's making any new money like how Island Boys are. We are successful and happy in life.
Which would be followed.
Also, a little heads up, I don't think the Island Boys have much money to begin with. Just as a quick peruse through their TikTok, it seems like the only money they make is when the US Army hires them to do a cameo for recruitment. And you can't really monetize TikTok. The Creator Fund, I think, pays out, what is it, $1,000 per like 20 million views or something? It's something absurd. And they're not getting 20 million views a month. So I don't think that they're pulling that kind of money. I could be wrong, though. It's been a long time since I looked up the TikTok Creator Fund. All I know is that it's not very good. It's a little better than the YouTube Shorts Creator Fund, but not by much. Charlie, you're wrong. Bro, I have a channel that has shorts on it. You know how much money that makes a month on just shorts? Less than $100 sometimes. And that's off of like 30 million views on the shorts a month. And the TikTok Creator Fund is just a little bit better than that. So I can extrapolate to a certain degree.
It's short-term hustling. And we've seen this exact same quote-unquote business model, I guess you could call it, being done, but this doesn't last.
Nice. And it didn't. It does not seem like it lasts. But they gave it their best. God damn it. That jacuzzi wasn't gonna get satin in itself. Yeah, we'll watch this one. I don't know anything about the 1,000-Pound Sisters because I think it's just a really sad thing. But I am very curious to see about this scam.
Yesterday, Tammy went into the hospital. She has pneumonia and she can't breathe. I set up a GoFundMe account if y'all can donate a penny.
The Slayton sisters would turn their entire audience against them through controversy after controversy, peaking with one of the most ambitious scandals in YouTube history, a GoFundMe for Tammy Slayton's funeral, who had an
That is bold.
However,
that is very bold.
Known more about these two sisters prior to the beginning of their channel, each of these controversies could have been easily predicted. So when they first began their channel, they were liked. The sisters built an audience through their strong family bond, positive attitude, and ability to laugh at their own shortcomings.
We need to lose weight to become skinny.
We don't care if you don't like us, we're fat and we love it.
They weren't exactly the sharpest tools in the
I've
shed.
never heard them
People
speak.
appreciated
They sound like the
their
Canker
authenticity.
sisters.
Say, hey, I'm fat, I'm fat.
And the fact that they were kind of doing YouTube for themselves. It didn't seem like they were trying to impress anyone. Love when a girl isn't afraid to be herself. I applaud you.
Thanks, you said
Finally, a
gamer
real
clown.
person doing a review. Love it. Keep them coming. However, when examining the video's thumbnail and dislike ratio, it was pretty obvious that it had gone viral as a result of people watching to laugh at their physical appearances.
Toby's mom.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I think is really sad about the whole situation, and especially the TLC show. It's literally just so people can point and laugh at them. Like, and that enables them to keep killing themselves. I don't know, I just find that whole thing to be sad. That's why I don't ever really watch it or try and learn about it. I just think the whole situation's really morbid.
The audience sends a bit of money through, the sisters get a new laptop, and in return the audience gets a higher average video quality.
That's that shit you see sometimes, like, if everyone that follows me gives me $1, just $1, we'll be good.
The whole MacBook thing was not my idea. It was a friend of mine's idea. I didn't even edit the
Clara,
video or anything.
damn it!
Is down.
However, while Amy did receive a bit of hate, the operation would prove to be successful after raising over $833, showing the Slayton sisters that it was not only possible...
What? How expensive is a MacBook Pro? They were asking for $10K? Bro, what does that shit go for? What?
The other problem the Slayton sisters encountered after growing an audience was that they could now be held accountable for the stories that they shared throughout their videos. Think about a situation in which she had adopted a German Shepherd rescue dog before leaving it in a camper van on a hot summer's day. Now Amy would state that
the camper has AC in it, and we only put him in there for like 30 minutes. And who are y'all to judge me?
However, when Amy would then reveal that the dog had gone crazy inside and smashed the air conditioning unit just to get out, her audience assumed that maybe the AC wasn't on and that the dog was going
probably wasn't
because
on.
It had been overheating inside. This theory would be supported further after
Jesus
Amy revealed that the dog
Christ.
had bit. However, with the bite mark being so severe and Amy taking the dog to the pound, whilst using the wording that the dog was no longer with her, the audience assumed that Amy had taken the dog to the pound to have it put down, resulting in the popular opinion that Amy was
fuck
a
her.
terrible abuser. I can't
Jesus
imagine this
Christ.
woman owning a German Shepherd. Shepherds need tons of activity both physically and mentally. She couldn't even take care of herself, let alone
I
such
see why a lot of
strong
people
and
do not like
intelligent
them.
breed. This sentiment will become even worse when, at a later date,
Well,
Tammy
now
would
I feel
upload a
absolutely
video
no
talking about
sympathy
the
for her.
celebration of her birthday at a gaming arcade, mentioning in passing that she felt sorry for their other dog, Little Bit, who had been left in the hot car whilst they were inside playing games.
Oh my
I feel
god.
bad for a little bit because she sat outside in the hot car while we were having fun. But I did, while we were at getting something to eat, I did get a little bit some ice water. So I thought about her, at least. Amy said I was going to get her some water.
Wow.
What a selfish, disgusting bunch of people these three are. Poor
What an
little dog.
absolute
I'm
piece of
surprised
shit.
Little Bit is still. Amy would find herself in yet another controversy after going on a date with a 19-year-old autistic kid at a local McDonald's.
Y'all know that I had the worst night ever Friday, and it was a horrible night. It started off good. We met each other. Well, it wasn't the first time we met. Don't think that. I'm not that type of person.
As mentioned, in the beginning the date seemed to have been going well,
What
to the
the
extent that
fuck?
Amy and her date decided
So I was giving him a hickey, and he was like, quit biting me, and I'm like, I'm not biting you.
Oh, this is worse than Amy Schumer talking about her vagina. Oh my god. Oh. Oh wow. Hold on. I need a break. I'm gonna splash like holy water in my fucking face or something. Just give me a second. I'll be right back.
during the intimate moment, he would take to Facebook, posting a status written in an ancient hillbilly dialect, which will receive a response from Amy about the size of his
Wait, I want to read this. Damn, sounds like it wasn't like trying to give him a hickey. She was trying to like Dracula this man. Good lord.
I hope y'all guys are happy. David just broke up with me.
Nice.
Because everybody was harassing. Now y'all see why I don't tell people who we're updating. Because y'all bully and harassing. And then he don't.
And while this would mark the end of Amy and Tammy's reputational-based scandals, it would ironically mark the beginning of what would be many financial controversies,
Oh my
beginning
God.
when their audience discovered the merch site was suspicious from the very beginning and read as follows. If you purchase Tammy's merch, you'll be added to a private group chat with Tammy. To purchase, head over to the donate section, and they're definitely scamming the tax system and sliding money to Tammy so she can sell disability from what it seems.
Wait,
I support
what?
a good side hustle.
What? Bro, that's kind of big brain for Tammy. That's very interesting. That is not her idea. Someone must have actually like told her about that shit. That's kind of smart. Cuz it doesn't count as income at that point.
This feels like a way to scam the IRS somehow. I didn't sell anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It got worse when fans would come to realize that the sisters hadn't been paying the artists who had completed the designs for the merch. However, this still doesn't make it the most notorious controversy in the Slayton sisters' history, bringing us to the infamous funeral scam.
This is what we got
It
the
began
cliff
when
notes
Tammy,
on
who was
earlier.
the heavier of the two sisters, fell over in the bathroom before waking up the following day without the ability to breathe.
Told me I had pneumonia and I was gonna have to stay in the hospital.
Whilst in the hospital, Tammy's condition would worsen, leading her to pass out for 3.5 weeks whilst on life support, during which Amy would begin the GoFundMe.
And this
Now,
was all
to Amy's
fake?
credit, it probably was pretty scary having your overweight, unhealthy sister
Oh,
on life
so
support
all of that
for
happened, she
3
just didn't
weeks.
die.
However, to begin planning
Her coffin is gonna cost them more because they have to triple the size of the coffin.
whilst mentioning that Tammy was on a medical card, however, the amount of money it provided would not be enough.
Is that a real thing? I mean, I guess it has to be, right? I'm guessing they would have to like supersize that.
Please find it in your heart to donate.
The GoFundMe itself, which would raise a total of $818.
Wow,
This
wait, what?
fund-
They asked less for this super quadruple freight container coffin than they did for the MacBook. They had $10K for a MacBook and $1,500 for a super coffin.
Clarify that. Or I'm going to take it up to the funeral home where it can build interest. I probably will take it to the funeral home and let it build
What?
interest. So if something does happen,
Alright, someone more knowledgeable than me. Can you do that? You can just put money into a funeral home like a bank and it'll gain interest? What? I'm investing in the funeral stock. So that's not a real thing. I can't believe it. You telling me I can't invest in funeral homes?
So when it was confirmed that there was no funeral, a new question had been created. Where had the money gone?
I gave it to my mother, who paid bills.
However, when her audience would ask her to prove it, she'd state that it was her mother's responsibility to provide the receipts.
My mom is trying to find the receipts. I know I've been wrong. I should not throw
I'll check it out, man.
receipts away. But in my head, I wasn't thinking, well, these receipts may come to bite me in the ass. You know, I wasn't thinking that. It was a simple mistake.
However, if the GoFundMe had been done online, then surely she was using internet banking. Why couldn't she provide a screenshot of the bank transfer to her mother? Medical bill receipts.
Yeah, these two are like just
something
actual
that you
pieces of
just roll
shit.
away. Most interesting part about the whole ordeal is that while most
alright,
disgraced YouTubers simply fade into obscurity
That's
as
Prime
the years go
Mirage.
by, the Slayton sisters have managed to remain relevant after rolling their public image into a TLC show titled 1,000 Pound Sisters, on which Amy has since lost over 100 pounds, has gotten married, had a baby, and is looking healthy compared to her early days on YouTube.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the same can't be said for Tammy, whose continual weight gain underpins much of the show's entertainment factor. The show just had its third season with well over 1 million viewers per episode.
Wow. Whoa. I didn't expect that ending. That kind of caught me off guard. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, I don't feel as bad for them now after learning about them, like, killing dogs, basically. Neglecting them, putting them in hot cars. So it's hard to find sympathy for where they're at right now. And the scamming, of course. But the dog thing in particular made me very sad. Yeah, I'm talking about scams again. I don't know what to tell you. Every single minute there's another scam born, and every 5 minutes there's another victim of a scam being taken advantage of. It is unreal, the current landscape of the internet with how rampant scams are. It's crazy. There are more active scammers on this planet than there are ants. It's just vile. Nowhere and no one is safe. I'm going to make up a statistic real quick, and I want it to be an alarming one just to illustrate the intensity of the situation. 1 out of every 2 people in this world is either a scammer or a victim. So, sleep in fear. Now today I'm going to be going over a scammer that I'm pretty confident most of you haven't heard of. I only recently learned about them thanks to a YouTuber named Maddie Balls, who made a great video exposing the whole situation and going over it thoroughly. So the link to the full video, of course, is going to be in the description of this one. I'm just going to show some of the clips and go over like the general broad strokes of what the scam is. It's a pretty interesting one, albeit nothing unique about it. But what I find interesting is their commitment to the facade. So the scammer is named Carter Jameson, and he's built his career, well, career is a term I'm using super loosely because it's an illusion of a career. Carter Jameson is an Instagram influencer, which again is a term that has no meaning at all. That is the biggest nothing fucking sandwich of a term. But he has 1 million followers on Instagram, almost all of which are botted, by the way. And he sells courses, which are like media packages in order to get you clout. The man is a literal clout vendor. He's an exposure goblin, and you pay him thousands of dollars for these packages to hopefully blow up your brand or increase your online presence. That's his whole hustle. He's a guru scammer. There's nothing unique there whatsoever. But what's impressive about Carter Jameson is his tenacity and persistence to prey on gullible kids and desperate adults. He seems to have been a born slimy weasel of a person because he's been scamming for quite some time now, and he's only 19 years old. This is a young man. He's like fresh out of high school and already a notorious scammer. In fact, he was one of the puppet masters behind Lana Rhoades' NFT scam from like 8 or 9 months ago, which I know a lot of you are probably familiar with because that was a huge scam. He was one of the people behind it that made off with $1.5 million in that rug pull. This was his first major scam, and I guess he must have really enjoyed the taste of shit in his mouth because he just continues to scam from here. It's only escalated. So not only does he do the press package shit where he like sells these $1,000 packages of like articles or whatever, he also does these very shady giveaways where I'm not entirely convinced people actually get the items they're supposed to receive from the giveaways. But even still, giveaways in and of themselves and the way that Carter Jameson does them are always sketchy because he's hiring rappers and pretending to be friends with them in order to promote the giveaway. So that way people start following the account and, you know, signing up, whatever, all that, under the idea that they're going to get this item, and also under the idea that the rapper that is there is a big supporter, so it must be legitimate, even though that's not exactly telling the whole story. Carter Jameson also has 2 other NFT scams that he has run since the Lana Rhoades one, so he's just been on this upward trajectory of thousands upon thousands of scams that he just keeps fucking spearheading. And like I said, he's only 19. I have to imagine he started doing this as a child, like an actual toddler. Like, he probably opened a lemonade stand when he was 8 years old, but didn't actually sell lemonade. He sold water with, like, a hint of lemon in it because he wanted to save money on the lemons. So he just sold people the idea of lemonade. Like, I guarantee this guy's been scamming for a long time. Like, probably took notes out of Ed, Edd n Eddy when they were scamming for Jawbreakers. He probably was scamming around his middle school for, you know, $15, $20 off, like, a homework racket or something. Like, this kid seems to just thrive off taking advantage of people and lying. His whole personality is fake. So I'm going to go ahead and play clips from the video so that we can get a deeper understanding of exactly how all of it works. But this one is a pretty sad one. Like, he's 19 years old and he's already a piece of shit. Carter Jameson. I'm unfamiliar with that name.
Carter Jameson is someone who's been seen with Chief Keef, Kodak Black, Lil Durk, Bobby Shmurda, Summer Rae, Lil Yachty, Steve Will Do It, Cole Bennett, and many other celebrities. But how...
I'm going to just take a guess. Knowing nothing about this, he paid to take all of those pictures with those celebrities. He's a trust fund kid with a lot of access to money. So he puts on a front that he's actually a popular guy, like friends with all these rappers, and he uses it to try and promote. I'm just going to do crypto. I think crypto's easiest. Lock it in.
The digital marketing company Gateway Agency. But I think he's a liar. So to understand how this guy has made
Called
millions
out,
from
Jesus.
lying, misleading, and scamming, we have to dig a little bit deeper. Recently
Oh, actually, damn, fuck. I'm starting to change my mind. Maybe it's not crypto. Maybe he sells, like, courses. Maybe he's one of those gurus, like, get-rich-quick guru kind of shit. Because he's a 19-year-old entrepreneur, owner of Gateway Agency or some shit. Whatever other imaginary made-up garbage he comes up with. I'll stick it out on crypto. I won't backpedal.
getting a ton. Is he really even a scammer? Well,
I'm gonna go ahead and take a stab at it. He does not have all of these followers legitimately, 100% botted to a certain level. A lot of people on Instagram do that. How does this kid know all these people? He doesn't. He pays to be near them. And who is he? Just a kid with a lucky spawn, born to a wealthy family.
so Carter Jameson is another one of those social media gurus you see online, but instead of selling you a course, he's selling you popularity. You might notice he has decent engagement and relationships with one guru who promises to scale your digital footprint to the...
My second guess was the right one. Son of a bitch. Yeah, maybe crypto's too outdated now. Everyone just immediately conflates anything meta, Web3, whatever with a scam. Rightfully so, by the way. Like, yeah, if he's a modern scammer, he would have had to adapt into the guru space, which is now the money maker.
Actually proves his guiltiness. Botted engagement. Before his engagement
Sounds
increased
about
100
right.
times because of Juice WRLD
That's
fans
Instagram.
hate bombing him, he could be seen botting his account, as you can see from all these fake comments. And if that isn't proof enough,
No,
here's a
this is
picture of
really
him testing
fire.
out botted engagement
Shit's
on one of
flames.
his Twitter accounts. And here on his YouTube channel, you can see over 1,000 botted comments on one of his YouTube shorts that only has 600 likes. So it's
Huge.
safe to assume that he's botting likes and possibly followers.
They're just
too.
very
Then there's
passionate,
his
and they
press.
forgot to
When
like.
I first saw on his website that he had a ton of articles and content, and another even says this story is paid for by an advertiser. Members
I actually had no idea that that shit was there. Obviously, a lot of journalism is paid content. Like, I mean, is what it is. I didn't know that they actually disclosed it in those cases. I thought they still kind of kept that under wraps. But I guess they also got hit by some new guidelines or something, or maybe I've just been oblivious to those notices.
someone with a lot of followers, we tend to think they're legitimate.
The deception
I
exists
don't.
because the large follower numbers trick our brains into giving out credibility naturally from the social proof. More followers means more credibility, right?
But I don't think Carter's...
Maybe I'm being baselessly optimistic, but I feel like that perception's starting to waver a bit. It used to be bigger number, trustworthy person. That used to be the rule, but I think with crypto and everything, it's kind of shaken everyone's faith in that concept. So I'm hoping that's changing, because it feels like it kind of is, slowly but surely. But maybe I'm just wrong in wanting to believe. I like how the YouTuber is basically milking this guy's downfall for views and content. Why does everyone have to have like some kind of weird contrarian perspective on everything? This guy even said at the beginning, like, he was a very generous guy about this whole thing. He's just telling the story, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's just telling the story about this guy's hustle. which is a scam. It's so weird. What goes on in your mind to want to immediately take some kind of weird combative stance on someone just literally exposing a scammer? I don't get it. I actually don't understand it. It's just too easy to agree, so someone has to disagree even if they don't believe. I suppose, but I'm not here to be an armchair psychologist. I really just don't get it.
He uses a method called loop giveaways where he partners with popular people to give away items. Carter and probably others will spam DM people with details about the giveaway campaign. They show the estimated growth and how much it'll cost to buy into it, and the reason that account will be following all of the investors. So in return for their money, they will be receiving thousands of real followers. So when he gets that investor money, he buys the items for the giveaways, flies out to meet the influencer or the rapper, takes some pictures with them to make his Instagram look better, takes pictures for the giveaway, pays the influencer, and keeps a ridiculous amount of money for doing little to nothing. It really is an infinite money glitch. And the giveaways themselves aren't necessarily scams. They're not against Instagram.
It's like a social media STD.
And I think he actually does give away the items. He might not. I'm not sure. I have seen people say they haven't gotten their stuff. That might not be true. But we have, and his business offers a variety of other overpriced services. For example, you can buy different press packages that offer articles and other sorts of
For the low cost of $8,000, you can get the musician package, which is a 15 article package. Oh, whoa, and I missed the... Oh, that's the low end. What the fuck? The $20,000 value is so much better. It even has the word cheaper. It's the market domination press package, which is 20 mid-tier press package. How are you supposed to gain clout without spending 20 grand on this package? Holy shit, wait, all the answers are right here. This is the key to success. He's giving away the keys to the kingdom, holy fuck. And for the low cost of 20 grand?
Press, like this Google Knowledge Panel package, which costs $6,500 when you can do it for free yourself. Then in the description, he has the nerve to say, you must have 20 other notable articles.
Yeah.
He sells ad management, verification, websites, billboard advertisements, and more. And I'm going to take a random shot.
Why? Who is dumb enough to pay for a fucking billboard advertisement? Who in their right fucking mind is like, oh my god, the billboard package. I need it. I'm gonna blow up with a good billboard. I don't think a single human being of the last 10 years has looked at a billboard and actually signed up or even visited what it was advertising.
Especially because apparently they only accept payments through Cash App, which is very sketchy. And I guess he also used to sell paid shoutouts on his Instagram and then just delete them right away after you paid for it, which probably didn't really make a difference because most of his Instagram followers are either inactive or fake. And if none of this, the reason that I believe he is scamming when it comes to the giveaways and the influencer marketing is because he's been caught scamming before. Before Carter brought his scams to the rap community, he was exposed for being one of the masterminds behind Lana Rhoades' CryptoSys NFT rug pull, where her, Carter, and some others made off with $1.5 million in Ethereum.
It's crazy. Somehow, anytime there's a scam, it's like this interconnected web. Like, all of the scammers that currently exist have always existed, and they've been part of all the other scams we've followed. What a throwback. What another reoccurring character. Another season that they're making an appearance in, another cameo.
There were 6,069 awful looking NFTs that were being marketed as an investment, and investors were promised that this was a long...
Unlike other pump and dump projects, we don't just plan on stopping after minting, so we actually have to be able to fund all that stuff.
They were hyping it up so much to the point where multiple people even got tattoos of the NFT and they were reposting it. Personally, I can't imagine knowingly scamming people, watching them get tattoos of the NFT and reposting it. So they...
I'll tell you one thing, I can absolutely imagine that. If you're one of those absolute bumbling idiots that buys into CryptoSys and you feel so strongly about it, you get a tattoo on your fucking thigh of the CryptoSys logo, you deserve to be laughed at. The scammer at that point, I'm on the scammer side. Laughing at you is like the least they can do. You've earned that shit. That's a fat fucking L. My god. Everything else I disagree with the scammer on, but laughing at people that do that, I actually completely agree.
$1.6 million was drained out of this mint for the NFTs one day. after they sold the collection.
The reason that they did this is because apparently Lana's feelings got hurt by the negativity in the community, but obviously this was just an excuse to take the money. Tons of people in the community talked about this rug pull, so it's a pretty well-known scam, and somehow Carter still has a career. And this wasn't the first time that Lana... Right now, Carter has other NFT projects like Billionaire Butterfly Club, which I'm assuming is
I was kind of right. He is doing crypto scams.
Rug pull type of deal. But in
this is the fraternity apes party, guys. Everybody in this is in the highest level frat of the real life.
Fraternity Apes Party,
what
or
the
FAT
fuck?
for short, is an NFT
Cool.
project where the incentive isn't an investment, but it's that you could go to a cool party with tons of influencers and celebrities, and only holders
that's
of the
worth it.
NFT can get in. I doubt any of the people there owned one of these awful-looking NFTs. They somehow even got the Nelk Boys to show up, but they probably paid them too.
Yeah,
and then they actually
somehow they got Steve Will Do It there. The guy notorious for literally accepting anything that has a dollar bill attached to it. It's a mystery to me how the fuck Nelk ended up there. This kid, I'll crack the code. I think I was right initially. This kid came from money, and he used that money to buy himself an advantage, to put himself in the position so he could scam people easily by presenting himself as a popular influencer. So he did the crypto scams with Lana Rhodes. He's doing the guru scams right now with the gateway giveaways, and he's done, what, 2 other crypto-based scams with NFTs and shit? He's just one of those douchebags. Perpetually living in his father's shadow.
Fake lifestyle. The rappers and the other people partnering with him, or more likely their management, should probably look a little bit more into who they're partnering with.
Why would they do that?
At the money they're going to receive, because then they end up associating with a bunch of scammers, which doesn't really make them look good.
Yeah, but their audience doesn't care. This was a great video. Good shit, Matty Balls. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this guy. This is an interesting story. Hold on, I want to look something up right now. This video is not very old, right? It's like 2 months old. Has he addressed this? His whole Instagram is fucking rough. But yeah, it's just shit like this. It's just him holding money. I don't even think people buy his course. I'll just say it. I think people are not dumb enough to fall for someone like this. You'd be surprised. I guess, but his prices are outrageous. $8,000 all the way up to $20,000. Like, nobody can afford those packages. Like, the only people in his audience that might not be aware it's a scam are actual teenagers that are just blinded by, like, TikTok clout and an overwhelming, insatiable desire for attention. They can't afford $8,000 packages, and certainly not the $20,000 package. So, like, who the fuck is his audience? Or, rather, his clients. No one can afford that shit. You underestimate the stupidity of the average adult. I really don't. I feel like of most people in the world, I am usually pretty on the mark with how dumb people can be. This is just out of the price range of stupid people. And certainly out of the price range of stupid kids. You were surprised by the age of CryptoZoo victims. I was very surprised by that. You are correct. That one did catch me off guard. I wouldn't have expected adults to be in the Logan Paul audience, let alone falling for a Logan Paul NFT project. But that was a low barrier of entry for them. This is an extremely high barrier. Especially for very little return. Meet the 18-year-old who's the CEO of a successful social media agency. And then right underneath that, this is paid for by the advertiser. Ah, so it's trustworthy then, huh? Surely this will be an unbiased look at his story. Let's see. More than the stunning content, he wanted to explore the algorithm that leads the influencers to a staggering number of followers. After 6 years of grinding with Instagram, Jameson was finally successful in decoding the algorithm to earn over 1 million followers. He decoded it, he was in the mainframe, and then he found the secret, which is his daddy's credit card to buy bots. Little botted followers. Fucking genius. Holy shit, this guy's good. He's a savant. He's like the Mozart of Instagram. Because he never did anything. Well, no, I just wanted to know about, like, his parents. Like, usually in these kind of cases, they always try to be that person that pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps. Like, I came from nothing. My dad was a normal blue-collar worker, just a true red-blooded American patriot working 2 jobs to put food on the table for me and my 6 brothers. And my mom also had to work night shifts down at the local cemetery. Like, I don't know, usually just like some kind of sob story, so that people like relate to it somehow and like put him on a pedestal of, wow, he did it himself. But he didn't even bother with that step. Do all scammers usually come from a rich family? I wouldn't say all of them. That'd be a disservice to say all of them. But I would argue a good 85 to 90% of all scammers do come from a very privileged background. At least in the digital age. This is one of the wilder stories I've seen this year. It almost sounds made up, like a fake headline in GTA Online or something. It sounds AI generated by ChatGPT. It's hard to believe this is real. A YouTube couple has now just been sentenced and will receive prison time, at least for the husband, for a series of videos where they showcased blatant insurance fraud. Multiple videos of blatant insurance fraud. And the word multiple is doing so much heavy lifting here, it's a sin. Like, that is an understatement. Over 160 videos allegedly showcasing insurance fraud attempts or collisions caused by the YouTube couple in order to get money from their insurance. Also, road rage, as well as provoking road rage. Just like this absolute massive pile of horrible shit they were doing in their vehicle in order to get money from insurance. Everyone hates scammers, but the roller coaster doesn't stop there. It doesn't matter if you've already puked your guts out, here comes the encore. They're also facing, well, and have been sentenced for child abuse because they were intentionally causing these accidents with their kid in the car for some of them. And they would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling internet points. This is the most on-brand shit for the modern landscape of brain rot clout goblin mentality. The father couldn't keep his hand out of the cookie jar of internet clout, so he started posting these dash cams of the collisions and insurance fraud attempts on his YouTube channel, and then shamelessly went to TikTok to accuse some of the other drivers that he got into the collisions with that he himself caused of being insurance scammers.
What you see here, this is Jeremy Perales. He's about to set me up for an insurance scam. He's about to set up an accident. He recognized me from Facebook.
Unhinged lunatic behavior right here, and then proudly posted on his own TikTok page. So what happened is, he had suddenly started to brake, and the driver behind him had to cross the double yellow line to get around him to avoid a rear-end collision, and then Christopher turns into him in order to force the accident. And the driver was initially found to be, I believe, like 90% at fault because he crossed the double yellow line. Christopher was actually quite gifted, an idiot savant when it came to insurance fraud.
He's doing and he knows how to not be at fault for him.
It was last April. Jeremy Perales says his insurance premium shot up after this accident in Yucaipa. But was it really an accident?
It's a bank. To be able to do this to a person, set them up for an accident?
I was stopped and then he hit me.
Jeremy says his insurance deemed it 90% his fault because he crossed into the other lane. But it isn't the first so-called accident Phelps had been in.
Just the way Christopher Phelps speaks is off-putting. He sounds straight out of Dr. Evil's lair. He just sounds menacing and, like, genuinely unhinged. And then he's talking about how, like, it's unspeakable how this man could try and set up an accident all because he recognized me from Facebook. Holy shit, that is deranged. You think he recognized you from Facebook and then tried to set up this accident? That doesn't even make sense. Obviously, Christopher doesn't believe that. His whole MO was insurance fraud in order to collect on the insurance paycheck. But Jesus, it's just so weird to listen to him speak. He just gathered mountains upon mountains of evidence against himself and posted it online. And somehow investigators stumbled upon this cornucopia of evidence that the husband, Christopher Phelps, was gathering of their insurance fraud and child endangerment. Like, Christopher ended up being his own worst enemy. He was like, the Zodiac killer, leaving all these clues, all these breadcrumbs for investigators to somehow find. And I have no idea how they found his channels, because he was getting like 50 or 60 views per video. I don't know how the fuck they ended up there. You would have been more likely to end up in Narnia than on his channel. But Jesus Christ, they must have had L from Death Note on the case because they found all of it, and they really cannonballed into the rabbit hole. Investigators found at least 23 collisions, allegedly documented by Phelps, which were linked to at least 17 insurance claims. Christopher is receiving 3 years in the slammer, and his wife is getting only a little bit of time in jail and then 3 years of supervised probation. Now, I'd like to show you a couple more videos here from the archive of Christopher Phelps and his insurance fraud journey. I have to mute the first part of the video here because this goober was playing DMCA copyright music. I'll just explain what he's saying. He's saying that the driver that he's pointing to is mad because Christopher passed him. Christopher's got some steam coming out of his ears for this video because he was actually found at fault by the officers on the scene for abruptly stopping, which causes this rear-end collision. But Christopher's arguing that the guy flipped him off, which the guy does admit to, and that because he was mad, when he stopped for a utility vehicle, the guy intentionally rear-ended him.
And just to show you that utility truck, here's the guy that hit me right there. That is the utility truck that was turning left onto my street. I was trying to stop for him and give him way to go down this way, and unfortunately this guy was mad because I passed him.
What a bunch of mumbo jumbo, a load of hooey here. He's claiming that, oh, this is his fault, he was so mad, real mad goofball, and he rear-ended innocent old me who was just stopping for this utility vehicle over here. When the video immediately betrays that, what are you talking about? You stopped abruptly, you brake-checked this man way back where those 2 trucks were parked, and then your evidence that you were actually stopping for a utility vehicle turning left is like significantly further along than where you actually stopped. Unless you were giving this man like 700 feet worth of turning radius room, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's not what happened. That's a blatant fucking lie. And here's 2 rapid-fire insurance fraud attempts from old Christopher and his wife. I don't know if their kid's in the car for these, but probably is, considering they did that quite a few times.
And we're gonna do this. Find out if they're gonna conspire with the sheriff, or if they're gonna cooperate. We'll see.
This is the last TikTok video that Christopher posted, him as a warrior about to go to battle for his case, fighting for justice, and signs off with, we're gonna find out if they're gonna conspire with the sheriff or cooperate. That is so fucking weird. Such a weirdo, and such a bad fucking person. Him and his wife. To not only be insurance fraud scammers, but to put your life, the life of the drivers on the road, and the life of your child all on the line for a couple doubloons from insurance is ridiculous. That is so fucked up and disgusting. A scam that endangers your life, the other drivers' lives, and the life of your kid that you're putting in these situations. I think 3 years was way too light of a sentence for this guy, and his wife got off way too fucking easy here. I don't understand how they got such light sentencing for this shit. They even did get assault with the deadly weapon charges because they were using their car as a fucking weapon. They were just hitting other drivers on the road to try and squeeze some coins out of insurance claims. They were more than willing to not only endanger themselves, but everyone else, including their kid. Every day was bring your child to work day, basically, so they'd fucking strap their kid into the back seat and just blast into another vehicle to try and file another insurance claim. And if they unsuccessfully caused an accident, they'd then try and make a road rage incident out of it. It's crazy how little they got punished for it, relatively speaking. I think the sentencing is way too lenient on how often they were doing it. This is very clearly premeditated, and it comes at a high price to everyone around them. This could have been a lot worse. There could have been deaths. And even in its current state, many of the other drivers, they had insurance premiums be hiked up as a result of this because some of them were found at fault for the shit that Christopher Phelps and his wife were doing. The whole thing is just so fucking horrible, and I'm really pretty upset that they get off so easily from it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this because I found it so fascinating. I learned about it from Otozi, who recently made a video covering it as well. It's so degenerate. It's so fucking ridiculous. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it. That's it. See ya. The words scam and YouTuber go together like peanut butter and jelly. Usually when you see these two words in the same sentence together, it indicates that a YouTuber is the one doing the scamming. But today, I've got a goofy little sad story for you that subverts your expectations more than Game of Thrones Season 8. This turns that narrative on its head, because in today's story, a YouTuber was the victim of a scam and lost about $1 million in pursuit of a dream. This is the story of how a friend of mine named Oompaville was schmeckeldorfed out of 1 million clams by a greasy worm named Jake. Oompaville just posted a beautifully made documentary going over the entire situation, so I highly recommend checking that out for the full story. Basically, Oompaville embarked on a journey to fulfill a dream of starting his own candy company called Sour Boys, and along the way got into bed with a bad demon named Jake, who hosed $1 million out of him in a big, disgusting scam. And this is something that I actually have a close personal connection to, because I was actually very much updated on his company, Sour Boys, over the last year and a half. Last January of 2022, Oompaville talked to me about his candy company, and I was super excited by it. Oompaville was glowing, blushing in the cheeks every time he'd talk about it. It was like he was going to prom every single day when I'd ask about the candy company. And it made me super happy to see that from him. Just a really cool project and venture taken by someone that was very passionate about the product. And I mentioned this in the stream clips I want to show a little bit later, but I'll mention it here too. I'd actually tried the candy, well, me and my friends had all tried the candy by complete accident. It was sent to our P.O. box like 2 years ago or something like that. And we were eating it during a Moist Esports watch party and just fucking loving it. And we had no idea it was his. It wasn't until much later that we learned that Sour Boys that we were eating was Oompaville's. So it was a product that I had already liked without ever even knowing it was his. So it was top quality. And I eventually was told by Oompa that he was unfortunately used like a fucking fleshlight by a scammer and lost tons and tons of money, and that he may be making a video on it. And now that video is finally out, so I'd like to talk about it here today because it is tragic. Now, I want to make it clear that this doesn't mean that Sour Boys is dead and buried. According to Oompaville, they are still pursuing a full launch, and it is apparently in a very good place, so that should be on the horizon at some point. But this is a massive $1 million hiccup. That's a hiccup that could put you in an early grave, honestly. Losing that amount of money to a scammer is nothing shy of an absolute asteroid hitting your world. But Oompa and his family have persevered and are still planning on launching Sour Boys in a big way. Sour Boys is started by Oompaville, but he has hired like most of his family to do it with him, as well as other people on payroll. So it is a huge undertaking, and God willing, he's not been scammed by his family next. It should come out at some point. But anyway, let me explain what the scam was and how he lost so much money over the course of starting this business. In a nutshell, Oompa launching a candy company. It's actually candy that I had before by accident, like I didn't know it was his. You might remember during our early Moist Esports watch parties, we were all eating a bunch of like sour candy. That was his candy. We didn't know it. Like it actually slapped. And those were like, I guess, prototypes that he did like a promotional for that we got. And fast forward over the last year and a half or so, I don't remember how long it's been now, but he's been trying to launch that candy company in a bigger way, so he's upped the production, got a warehouse, and he got a big machine in order to really be able to pump out volume and scale. Turns out the person who supposedly built the machine and shipped him the machine was a giant fucking scammer who also happened to be a friend of his. Not like a best friend, but a close enough friend where it would be the ultimate betrayal to even consider a scam. So basically, the machine that he bought under the assumption that it was built by his friend, serviced by his friend's friend, was all a complete lie. What it was he bought the machine from China and upcharged Oompa like fucking 3 or 4x what it was actually valued at. So in total, he's out $1 million. Would have been more too. He was supposed to send an additional like 70 grand to the scammer, but he had like a come to Jesus moment about it being fishy. And yeah, he is still planning on launching the candy company. He says it's in a good spot, but he did lose $1 million over the course of this journey because of that scammer. That was his friend. When you watch the video, I think it becomes pretty clear how anyone would have fallen for this. Like, there was so much communication. The person was, for the most part, reputable. It was a friend, trustworthy, so you always give them the benefit of the doubt in the first place. Oompa bent over backwards to pay wages and accommodate in order to get everything, situated, getting everything serviced, having a maintenance team, doing pretty much everything by the book. But it just turns out it was all a complete fucking lie. Even if it wasn't a scam, he'd be at $1 million. Yeah, but he'd have a company to show for it. Right now, he still has to keep building in order to get that ready. He says he is close and it's in a good spot, but that $1 million, assuming it didn't go to a scammer, would have helped launch the company and they would have already been in production. Well, and also, another thing that I think is worth mentioning, the machine that he did get that came from China that he was told was built by his friend and all them, the machine was quoted on the receipt as $143,000. Meanwhile, Oompa paid like $700,000. So he also wouldn't have been out $1 million and he would have also been in production by now. Even if it was your friend, wouldn't you look up how much the machine may be going for? Well, he wasn't buying a pre-built machine. The whole reason that he was going to his friend for this was to produce that machine, to make that machine. It wasn't supposed to be like a pre-built machine. So where would you even go to get information on that or see other competitive quotes when this is supposed to be like basically a bespoke deal here? It wasn't $1 million for the machine. He lost $1 million over time by getting the machine and paying the guy and everything. Yep. He said $700,000 to the actual scammer, and then over the course of like wages and other expenses came out to around $1 million in the shitter. Should have consulted me, easy. True, he should have went to you. He should have been in Twitch chat just looking for the experts. You would have sniffed it out. Just go to Ask Reddit for advice. Where all sane people go, yeah. Why not ask a specialist about this before paying? The guy was a fucking specialist. Well, was supposed to be a specialist. And I guess in a way he was with scamming. Like, I don't know who else he was supposed to find. Like, Willy Wonka? Like, it's a hard thing to find people for that. Can he do something to press charges, or is it out of his control? Oh, they could absolutely press charges. 100%. Now, I don't know how hard they're going to go on that, but yeah, you can't just scam someone out of $700,000 for labor you didn't do and a completely false pretense on the whole situation, yeah. They could absolutely sue, and should sue. Can't sue if you can't be served. That's true. You gotta be real elusive. Just hide in the shadows and wear a disguise like glasses and a mustache. That's kind of the general overview of what happened. Again, just to give you the bullet points. Oompaville wanting to start the candy company, eventually realizing that if he wants to scale and keep things interesting, they're going to need to produce the candy themselves. Thus, they're going to need an actual machine. Thus, they're going to need an industrial engineer who knows what they're doing and can make the machine for them. He finds Jake. He hires Jake. He pays Jake up to $700,000 under the assumption that he is making this machine himself, specifically for the purpose of the Sour Boys candy production. With tons and tons of delays and a lot of very odd circumstances and things that happen throughout this multiple year venture, he learns that the machine that he eventually does get from Jake's shop is not a machine that Jake or anyone that works for Jake built. It was a machine that Jake purchased from China for $140,000 and was sold to Oompaville for significantly more than $140,000. And since Jake and no one on his team built it, no one knew how to really service this machine. So when eventually Oompaville did have someone that knew Jake come out to help, that person, his name is Will, did not know how to actually work on the machine. Thus, they were at a complete standstill. It was gridlocked. There wasn't a whole lot to be done. They realized then, when Will got there, that they never built that machine. That machine was purchased from China, and everything Jake had been saying, everything Jake had claimed that he was doing was all a blatant lie at the expense of Oompaville's financial security. $1 million over the course of a few years, and he does still have a machine, but has to retrofit that machine now, completely change it around in order to actually work for the candy that he is producing. That's kind of the whole situation in a nutshell. There's a lot more moving parts in between there. He went in with both feet. He fucking cannonballed into the big business pool here. In the video, he talks about how he had a brief time of homelessness because he put like so much into this. He was like living out of the warehouse. It's a very like actually concerning story, but Oompa tells it with a smile on his face. But hearing that, I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was like reckless and scary. But, you know, things are working out, kind of, though it would have been a lot smoother had he never met Jake and instead found a different engineer. But, you know, that's water under the bridge now. Hopefully Jake will face real punishment for this scam. This is not something that's like, you know, like, oh, that's what a goofball, Jake, you got us. Darn. This is absolutely a needs to be in jail, long prison sentence type of situation for this guy. That's an unforgivable thing to do. So yeah, that's kind of the bare bones of the story. I highly encourage you to watch the entire documentary if you want to see like the nitty gritty of everything that went on throughout this entire journey. It's wild and sad. Him, Oompaville, and his family have like a really good attitude about everything somehow. Which is, you know, hats off to them. I don't know how they maintain, like, positivity in the face of $1 million fucking scam like that, but good on them. I'm wishing them nothing but the best. I hope Sour Boys does very well. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because this is a very rare instance of a YouTuber being the victim of a scam. So yeah, that's really about it. So yep. Halt. You've just reached a smile checkpoint. And it's time to pay the fee, so put a big smile on that face. I'm here to help. I've got some amazing news that's going to tug on your heartstrings and make you go, aww. A YouTube scammer was just sentenced to over 5 years in jail for a massive fraudulent operation they've been running for the last half a decade. And boy, howdy, I tell ya, it's always a great feeling watching a scammer get their comeuppance. A nice knuckle sandwich from the law. And honestly, he's getting off easy here. His name is Jose Terran. And he is like the Cobra Commander of scammers. This guy is going to go down in history as one of the largest fraudsters in not only YouTube history, but music history as well. Over the course of the last 5 years, Jose has claimed 50,000 songs, meaning that he then took the rights from these songs and all of the money that those songs would generate online went into his bank account. And over the course of the 5 years he's been doing this, he's made roughly $23 million in royalty proceeds from the music he's fraudulently claimed. Bro straight up found a money tree and couldn't help but take a bite from the forbidden fruit, just like in the Garden of Eden. And now he is paying the price. He may have raked in 23 million bones, but now it's coming at the cost of over 5 years worth of his life spent in the slammer. And I really do think he's getting off easy here because this is an absolutely abhorrent case of fraud. But the wildest part is this is actually a very prevalent and out of control epidemic on YouTube itself. This scam is not something Jose came up with. This is very common right now and used by a lot of other shady scumbags. In fact, I'm not here to start pointing fingers here and, you know, calling out sailors on the ship. You know, I'm not trying to lead a mutiny. But there's even some beloved YouTubers that do pretty much exactly what Jose did on a smaller scale. We'll talk about all of that in a minute. I just want to quickly thank today's video sponsor, Opera GX. Opera GX just has so many tools that really allow you to customize it to your liking, as well as even allowing you to limit how much CPU and RAM the browser uses with GX Control. GX Control allows you to enhance your performance on PC when gaming by changing the amount of CPU and RAM you're willing to allocate to the browser, which makes it a lot less of a load on your system, unlike something like Chrome, for example, which is a resource hog. Another great feature is, of course, GX mods, and there's even a mod pack for me on there as well, if that sounds interesting, where you can change browser sounds. Yeah, baby! So yeah, all kinds of customizable wallpapers, and a lot of other interesting things that you can toy around with and adjust thanks to things like GX mods. And when you download using my link, you can see my latest 12 uploads in the Opera GX corner. So if you're interested in starting with Opera GX, you can download it for free in the description. Thanks again to Opera for sponsoring. Before diving into the bigger picture of this whole situation, let's focus on the particulars of Jose's case here. Now, he's considered a person of high risk to reoffend. They even cited that he obtained more than $6 million in personal profits and continued pocketing another $190K of stolen royalties, which he hid. And the hefty sentence was really necessary to deter him from launching future scams because he's planning to remain in the music business. I want to stop it right there. How the fuck is this even considered a hefty sentence? He stole $23 million. 23 million clams that he had no right to, he stole. Now let me walk you through how the scam works. Someone like Jose and other awful people like Jose will set up these fraudulent businesses and they'll go on a copyright claiming bender. Like, we're talking full-blown, like, 10 lines of coke, stay up 24 hours programming bots in order to flag content on YouTube that they will copyright claim to take the money from. On YouTube, when you copyright claim a piece of content, you then get the ad revenue from it, even though it wasn't you who posted the video. This happens to everyone's channel at some point. At some point, someone created a piece of, like, music or something that plays in the background of a game you're playing or something, and it'll get flagged in the system, and when that's there, you lose all of the ad revenue from the content, and it goes to the person who made that piece, or is claiming they made that piece. That's how it works. In theory, it's supposed to be there to protect copyright holders from people that are just re-uploading their shit. Instead of just like taking it down, you have the option to instead just take the money from it and it can stay up. But there's a lot of people that exploit this process, like Jose, where you don't have the rights to 50,000 songs here, but you're still claiming it because YouTube's system is fucking archaic. And there's not a whole lot of safeguards in place. A great example to highlight how unacceptably dog shit the current system is on YouTube, a community member of Destiny 2, just a person, just a, you know, red-blooded, God-fearing human being, a normal person, noticed that this is a complete oversight from the system. And in the Destiny 2 community, he got really fed up with the way Bungie was doing something. They got very upset. I don't want to go into all the details here, so I'm not going to get like too deep into the weeds. But basically, they were disgruntled, and in order to get back at not only the community, but Bungie themselves, they started copyright claiming a ton of content in the Destiny community. And they were claiming it as if it was Bungie doing it. So Bungie got a lot of flack, a lot of shit for it, and then eventually they got so bold and brazen that they copyright claimed Bungie themselves. Bungie's own content that they were posting on YouTube, their Destiny 2 content, this guy started taking the rights of. So it's very exploitable and has been exploited many times. And it's illegal, highly illegal. That guy's facing some serious life-changing repercussions from all of that. And now Jose is as well. But the point is, it is exploited often. It happened a lot and blew up in a big way a couple months back on TikTok, where people started to notice that there's these Spotify accounts set up that just play like random common sound effects like Roblox oof, or like that gong sound effect when something happens, like when you, I don't know, drink milk too fast on TikTok and it's like gong, I'm gonna shit my pants, like those sound effects. Someone had made Spotify accounts and were actually claiming those sound effects so that way they could take the ad revenue from YouTube videos that use them. It's someone that obviously didn't work on any of the sound effects or anything, but they noticed that they could claim the individual sound effects and then take the ad revenue. So the point is, this is a very common scam and it's a fucking problem. And Jose did this for half a decade, claimed over 50,000 songs that were not his, stealing money directly from those artists in order to profit himself, and he's only getting a little over 5 years in jail? I think that is a far cry from a hefty sentence. And the only reason that it's even that high is because they think he's at a high risk for reoffending, which he is, made over $20 million. You think this guy's not going to come right back into, hop onto the saddle again for another 20 million doubloons? Of course he will. So 5 years is comical. This should have been like an absolute statement. They should have made an example out of Jose here with a super serious sentence, because they got to put the kibosh on this shit. It's already out of control, and it's only going to get worse as people realize just how profitable it is to make these fraudulent copyright claims. So I totally disagree that this is hefty. This is light sentencing for this guy. And it's not just him. In fact, there is another one of his associates that is facing sentencing soon, but I imagine it's going to be roughly the same charges and the same time in jail. So it looks like there's going to be a restitution hearing soon, and right now the amount is set at $1.4 million to the victims of this scam, but they're trying to connect with more victims, but it's a little difficult because a lot of them are outside the US. A little insight into how this scam works was highlighted here in the Ars Technica article. It said that Batista, which was Jose's, teammate here, they duo queued to start this scam. They began in 2017, and they started the label known as Media Move. And the goal was to seize unearned royalties by claiming ownership of songs on YouTube that they noticed weren't actively monetized, meaning they didn't have any ads running on it, which is something you can see even as just a viewer. If you go on like a video or a song and there's no pre-roll ad, there's no banner ad, or display ads somewhere, you can comfortably say that no one's making money from it. So what they would do is they would target content like that and claim it, which they didn't have the rights to. It's not theirs to do that. But that was their whole business model, hunting this content down and putting it under their umbrella. Eventually, they even partnered with a management group called AdRev in order to give it like more credibility. So it wasn't just immediately red flagged as a huge fucking scam. Like 50,000 songs, that's a lot to be claiming ownership of. But no, wait, no, it looks like they're partnering with AdRev. This must be legit. So it was kind of deep. Deeper than a lot of the other scammers that go this route on YouTube, which is probably why they were so successful and made so much money. This is a great section here, just laying out the timeline. This wasn't exactly like a jump scare to the community. A lot of people had been tipped off about this and fighting against Media Move for quite a while, because obviously the people who made the content that was getting claimed knows that it's a bunch of baloney. Like it's straight up fish paste. They made it, and it's getting claimed by a company they've never fucking heard of before. So they did fight against Media Move for years, but it kept getting pushed aside, it seemed. But in 2019, the IRS launched an investigation after they became a little suspicious with the amount of bank accounts Media Move had that were sometimes registered under fake names. And I really like this section here, so I'm just going to read it. Everyone knows how the scam works, and it's unclear if much has been done to stop future YouTube scammers from using the same playbook and targeting more artists. Artists attempted to bring a class action lawsuit against YouTube to gain access to systems to monitor their royalties and stop royalty theft, but that case was dismissed earlier this month before going to trial. I'll answer that question. Nothing has been done to prevent this from happening again in the future, and it is still continuing to happen right now. I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the video that some YouTubers actually use this same fucking method. Unfortunately, it's become a bit of a nuclear weapon that sometimes these creators will use to either silence criticism or just out of pure greed. An amazing example that we just covered a month ago is Alex Edson of Business Casual when he tried to take down a channel he felt was competition to his. He issued fraudulent copyright strikes. So he went above a copyright claim. He wasn't just taking the ad revenue. He was straight up taking the entire channel down because he believed that that channel used an image that was somewhat similar to an image he used in his video. This just highlights just how broken the system is. So if he wanted to, he could continue to do that and copyright claim other channels and keep making that same argument about like, oh no, that's my image and you stole it from me. And he'd get away with it because the system doesn't have anything in place to stop that. Now, Alex Edson at Business Casual was unsuccessful in his nefarious evil plot. Thank God. But he's still an absolute unforgivable piece of shit for what he's done, and there's a lot of other content creators that engage in similar behavior, maybe not always motivated out of like, you know, getting rid of competition. I need to make sure there's no one left in the world except my channel, so I'm gonna take them all down. But a lot of them are just motivated by greed, where they'll start copyright claiming people's content who like maybe make a meme out of something they did, or even criticize something they did. That's happened a lot over the history of YouTube, so it is unfortunately a system that needs a drastic overhaul, and it's not getting that tender love and care that it needs to be in a good state. So squeaky wheel needs the grease. The squeaky wheel really needs the grease. Otherwise, Jose and Batista here that got 23 million from fraudulently claiming just completely innocent artist music will continue to pop up over the course of the next few years and will only continue to snowball. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this. I think it's great that they did get caught and are being punished. I just wish the punishment was more severe because I just don't think the punishment fits the crime here. They likely won't even serve their full time in jail, and they got away with so much money for quite a long period of time. So I think the sentencing needed to be harsher, and hopefully as more people are caught doing this, the sentencing will continue to increase. So that way it can finally deter people from trying it more in the future. But anyway, that's about it. See ya. Everyone knows about Fyre Festival, one of the most catastrophic events that never happened. A giant scam, and creator Billy McFarland went to jail for it, and he still owes victims of it millions of dollars. Fyre Festival was hyped up to be one of the biggest music festivals ever created. It made outrageous claims about like the headliners that were performing, bringing in the biggest music artists of all time. Basically any artist with a pulse that ever cracked the Billboard Top 100 was slated to perform at Fyre Festival. Hey, we've also got a necromancer on staff, and he just revived Elvis Presley, who just committed to performing at Fyre Fest. Get your tickets today, you don't want to miss it. All of the biggest musical stars are going. It's also the most luxurious event ever held. We also turned off gravity so you can float around. Like, it's got everything you could ever want. Get your tickets to Fire Festival. But then when it was time for the event to happen, it didn't. All of the excited guests were greeted with nothing but a tent and some cheese sandwiches that I think Billy McFarland himself whipped up in his kitchen. Just 2 pieces of Wonder Bread and like a slab of government cheese. Like, that's all it was. It was a huge scam. Everyone lost their ass on it, and it sent Billy McFarland to jail for being a fraudster. But he's been released from jail. And you know what he's doing? Fire Festival again. He even tried to do a Crypto Island NFT scavenger hunt, but now he's just going back to calling it Fire Festival too. Fire Festival organizer and fraudster Billy McFarland announced a ticket drop on Monday for a sequel festival. After teasing the follow-up festival early this year, 100 pre-sale tickets went up for grabs on August 21st for $4.99 apiece. Tickets will continue to increase incrementally, with the last round selling for $7,999 each. For $1,500 or less, you could get 4 VIP tickets to Coachella with accommodations and a ready-to-go Lake El Dorado tent. If anyone buys tickets to this, you deserve to lose your money. You absolutely deserve to get scammed. Legitimately. You 100% deserve it. Those 100 tickets have sold out, according to an email from organizers and McFarland's social media, despite the event having no lineup of artist, exact date, or location. So he literally sold them nothing. He actually sold them nothing. All 100 people that bought this should be investigated. Like, that's criminal levels of stupidity and recklessness. It's been the absolute wildest journey to get here, McFarland said while wearing a white bathrobe, wireless headphones. It all really started during the 7-month stint in solitary confinement. It looks like he learned so much, too. He continued that during his incarceration at Federal Correctional Institution Elkton in Lisbon, Ohio, he wrote a 50-page plan to parlay interest and demand into new projects. There was a mention of a new Fire documentary and a Fire Broadway music festival. Now there's Fire Festival 2 slated for the end of 2024, with pop-ups and events across the world.
What's up, guys? This is a big day, because as of right now, Fire Festival 2 tickets are officially on sale.
Yeah!
It's been the absolute wildest journey to get here, and it really all started during the 7th-month stint in solitary confinement. I wrote out...
Hey, Billy, I'm not your PR guy. I'm not on the board here. Why would you mention solitary confinement? Hey, guys, Fire Festival 2 is coming out. By the way, I am a convicted criminal. I spent 7 months in solitary confinement. But that's when I went on my spiritual journey and I really found myself. So I'm doing it again.
From around the world together to make the impossible happen, but how would find the best partners in the world to allow me to be me while executing Fire's vision to the highest level? You
just shouldn't be you. Like, that's the big problem, is you. You are the problem. This doesn't inspire confidence, Billy.
To sign a deal to produce Fire Festival, the Broadway musical.
I still think that's such a great idea. He's actually selling nothing now. He's selling imagination. Like, he's selling the idea of things, which is so fucking cool. And people are buying it.
2 is coming back to the Caribbean. We are targeting Fire Festival 2 for the end of next year, and in the meantime, we'll be doing pop-ups and events across the world. Guys, this is your chance to get in.
Let's go.
Everything I've been working towards. Let's fucking go.
My man. Who wouldn't want to go? Billy, let me take a peek here. For only $7,999, I can go to a completely make-believe event.
As I'm sure you've heard by now, the tickets sold out really, really fast. And this is definitely going to frustrate a lot of you, but we now have 6,900 people on the wait list for Fire Festival 2. I have gotten emails.
Do you think this guy's ever told the truth about anything in his life? I don't think he's even capable of being honest. Like, he was made in a lab to only tell lies.
However, today we are dropping Fire Festival merch. Here's one of our old hats. And I am picking 5 people who buy merch this week and comping you each 2 tickets to Fire Festival 2. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the hate. Together, you're creating the absolute perfect storm, and I can't wait to give the rest of you a front row seat as I fly right through it. 72 hours.
Is there anyone less honest than Billy McFarland, I wonder? So he made a single hat. I think there's a 0% chance there's merch to buy, and if there is, if you buy it, it should be like some kind of litmus test that immediately identifies you as a potential, like, criminally stupid threat to society. Billy dropping killer deals of $600 a ticket for Fart Festival. Show some goddamn respect. It's $7,999 per ticket. Don't you dare make him sound like a cheapskate. Fire Festival 2 pre-sale the Caribbean December 6, 2024 at 12 p.m. Where's the merch? Ah, here we go. $40 hat, $60 shirt, and... Okay, here. This is looking amazing, actually. I'm sorry to have not placed my faith in Billy McFarland and his team. And by team, I mean Billy McFarland and his 6 other alter egos. So he's got great options here. The $40 festival hat, this badass shirt, beautiful hoodie. Hold on just a minute, sports fans. We've got a deal on our hands. $10 says he bought all of his own tickets and will scalp them. No. He didn't buy his own tickets. Are you out of your mind? You think Billy McFarland has ever spent $1 in his life? No. He is literally just lying. They don't have tickets. They don't have anything. There is nothing. He is making shit up. That's all it is. It's imagination. It's SpongeBob and Patrick in their box. That's Billy McFarland's brain. That's his whole life. It's all make-believe. There is nothing real about this. Or him. Did you hear God might be real? Yeah, and his name's Billy McFarland. This guy is making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling nothing. Actually nothing. He has legitimately made so much money selling nothing. Isn't that one guy that made the festival where the only food was some random-ass sandwiches? Yeah, among many other things, yes. Fire Festival is still to date probably the most disastrous event ever attempted. Hypothetically, if it was legit, would you buy a ticket? Man, no. Shit, no, I still wouldn't. Absolutely not. I still think DashCon and Tana Mojo's events tie for worst event. I don't know, man. At least with TanaCon, I can't even think of a single positive. At least with DashCon, some people had fun. The ones that were like ejaculating into the pool. That's DashCon, right? Or the ball pit. The ones that were coming in the ball pit. Fire Festival, no one had fun. It was just a scam top to bottom. I decided to look up who's actually buying these tickets and why, and it's pretty much what I expected. It's a lot of people doing it for the meme, and also a lot of people that for some reason are so delusional they think there's a chance that it might happen, and that's worth spending this crazy amount of money on it. But here, this is a couple that proudly is talking about how they spent nearly $550 each to be among the first buyers of Fire Festival 2. And they said, if anything, it'll just be a really cool vacation. Our main concern is that we don't know if big headliners will be willing to, take the risk to be in something so controversial. We're going to stay optimistic, but we're going to expect that there may be some cheese sandwiches. Why? You know what else would be a really cool vacation? Taking a really cool vacation that doesn't cost thousands of dollars that you give to a scammer who's just taking advantage of your stupidity. Like, I know you've seen the footage of the last Fire Festival. What about that screamed really cool vacation? You went to just the middle of nothing and had a tent and a cheese sandwich. What's cool about that? I guess just the bragging right to say that you went to the Fire Festival sequel and still got nothing. So maybe you get like 5 extra likes on your Instagram post whining about it. It's your fault and it's a stupid thought process. No one is going to be headlining Fire Festival 2. I'll tell you right now. There's nothing to be optimistic about. It is not happening. Billy McFarland is a scammer. He is legitimately, evolutionarily designed to just lie, make shit up, and exploit stupid people for money. That's it. There's no chance that this happens this time around. And it's not like while he's been in prison, he's somehow learned how to throw the Fire Festival 2 properly. It's not like he got better connections while in the slammer. So it's going to be even less possible than it was the first time around. Silly Billy still owes $26 million to victims of his first scam and has no actual plan of paying that back. This is a desperate attempt to get a very quick infusion of cash in another imaginary festival to repay the first batch of suckers that bought into it. And let's not forget, this is already the second time since being released from jail that he's cooked up a fucking festival. He tried to do Pirate last time. I made a whole video on that. He tried to do an NFT scavenger hunt island vacation called Pirate, which he has now apparently wiped his ass with. So he's already canceled one of his imaginary events after trying to get money from it, and now he's doing it again with Fire Festival 2, but this time around, for some reason, people like this couple are spending money on it. It's pathetic. It's so fucking pathetic. He's also still considered a fugitive in the Bahamas. Like, no one is going to work with this guy. Absolutely nobody. So how could there even be a single thing to be optimistic about with Fire Festival 2? What you have done is just help a desperate scammer try and repay victims of his scam from the past. At that point, just donate to his GoFundMe, I guess. Why buy his Fire Festival 2 make-believe tickets? Like, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So yeah, I just had to talk about this. That's about it. See ya.